All right. So for the two, in the resistance pattern, it's emotional swings, very high highs, very low lows, and very quick up and down between both, which creates impulsiveness and ultimately foolish decisions. And on the genius side, in the genius talent, it's here to create emotional resilience, adaptability, and wisdom. So let's talk about the resistance pattern. Ultimately, this is somebody who easily is shocked by events, and it could be internal, it could be external. It's ultimately expecting something to be a certain way, and when it's not, even a little bit, it throws a person into these emotional ups and downs. And sometimes it can make sense and be apparent, and sometimes it's perhaps just random. And if you look at it, it looks like a spring. So what you can imagine is that, say you're a golden ball right there, and it's going up and down. Your emotions are going up and down. So you're going up and down on this spring. And if you're down here, that's where the impulsiveness says of like, okay, well, I'm going to make a decision. And I'm really low right now, so here we go. Or on the flip side, when someone's feeling very high, and they're presented with the decision, okay, let's go. It's not the best decision for them. So this is about, over time, understanding that you've got this emotional up and down process. And it actually is trying to lead you to tremendous wisdom. And I'll explain how and why in a bit. But for now, you can think about it like an elevator. So when you're at the top, this is you up here. When you're at the bottom, this is you right here. So it's so important to give yourself time when it comes to a decision, because just like I shared, you might be high or might be low. And what you need to do, or what I invite you to do rather, is to test it out. And the twos require time, because when it comes to a decision, what's happening is, based on where you are, say you're down here, you're feeling into what that decision is right here. And then a little bit later, you could go to the top floor and you're feeling like what the decision is right there. And then maybe back down right here. And then right here. So each of these times, just like in the elevator, you're getting a different vantage point. You're seeing the end item from a different floor of the view. And let's just say that the circle is the end goal. So you're getting these different vantage points. So if you make a decision right away, you're just going to see one level, one perspective. But as you're feeling these different emotions, your system is actually gaining wisdom because it's seeing from different perspectives. And that's where you need to give yourself some time. It's important. It's very powerful to give yourself time. And then when you feel 80% or more towards that decision, whichever way that is, that's how you know your system is on board with going that way. And sometimes it's just maybe sometimes it's just 15 minutes. Sometimes it's a few hours. Sometimes it's a few days or more. It really depends on the scope of the decision and the elements involved. But the more you can give yourself time to go on that up and down spring, the more and more clear it's going to be in total. Okay. And so that's why this starts in the genius talent, creating emotional resilience, because it's somebody who learns how to ride the waves internally. It's like you're riding the waves within, as opposed to getting caught up in the surf. So it's like you're surfing the waves instead of getting caught and back and tossed around up and down. So the key isn't here to go numb. The key isn't here to have no emotions. No, like you're always going to have emotions, like everybody is. And people with the twos, you're always going to have the up and down. But you can learn your own process of being like, okay, the twos are going right now. I'm feeling really high. Okay, let me just be mindful of that. Let me enjoy it. I'm also feeling really low. Okay. what perspectives am I getting from this? And just because you're high or low, that isn't your whole world. It's like, in the beginning, the twos feel like they identify 100% with where they're at. And that's not the case. It's like you're actually the totality of this. And that's why it starts going into the wisdom, is because you're seeing all these vantage points instead of just one little area. Okay. And so as you have those ups and downs internally, and you get more and more comfortable in finding your own way of riding the waves, then that starts making you very emotionally resilient to external things as well. And maybe where there are, shocking things that other people are just wiped out with, you've gone on this journey where, you still feel the feelings, but you don't get lost in them. And that's the power here, because that creates somebody who's very adaptable. And then that spring, instead of just like in the resistance pattern where it's, throwing people up and down and just bringing them for this crazy ride, then in the genius talent, it starts acting more like a suspension spring on a truck. So it's just like a off-road truck is just driving across this terrain, all these rocks, all these potholes, and with big springs, suspension springs, inside you're feeling fairly stable. And that's essentially what this is. And that's what you can imagine, is that as you develop this genius talent, you're in like a big monster truck and there still could be a lot of stuff going on, but you're not getting lost into it, as opposed to a car without any suspension springs, and you're just getting bounced around up, back, and everywhere in between. And that's where the wisdom comes in here, because you can imagine that if someone's experiencing all these things, feeling all these emotions, and with each emotion, you're experiencing a different perspective and not getting lost into it. And then towards the end of the experience, it's like you're combining all these emotions, all these vantage points together, and you're arriving at, okay, what's the best decision? And that's why this goes from like the most foolish energy to the most wise energy. And as you do this for yourself, you actually start becoming a support structure for others, like a powerful support structure, because just like you've got the suspension for yourself in your own journey, people start looking at you and they're like, wow, okay, this is somebody where we could go through a lot of stuff and it keeps the show moving forward. So with this, closing keynote on this is that, again, I want to emphasize that it's not getting rid of emotions. It's not going numb to them. Like, they're always going to be there, and you're always going to probably feel them more than other people do. It's about a smooth journey, because all of us, we're going to go through challenges. All of us, we're going to go through things that are unexpected. It's just a part of life. And somebody who's in the genius talent of this, they have this knack of making it a smooth ride. And you're not like emotionally bypassing anything or anything like that. You're not being fake, but a genuine ability to be very real with what's going on in the external world, very real with what's going on internally, and navigating it in the smoothest way possible.